Hey everyone, I'm Jeff Moody. I'm the executive director for the Players Foundation. And today's we're going to have a discussion with the CEO, Dr. Christin Golich, on the For the Players Foundation, what we do, and what's going forward. So that way you have as the Hampton Roads community has an understanding of some of the benefit as well as the actions we're taking for the Hampton Roads community. So, Dr. Christin Golich, welcome to the podcast. I appreciate you being here today and having just a conversation about what the things that we are doing as a foundation going forward.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, it's great. So, tell me about what you're doing. Uh, what is For the Players Foundation and why was it created?
Well, let's see. So, For the Players Foundation originated about 2 years ago, and it's a mission set out to provide soccer for any player out there in Hampton Roads who wants access to the game and maybe otherwise does not have it, whether that's through equipment, gearing up with cleats, shin guards, soccer balls, whether that's finding a field space to play on that they can call home or part of their own community, whether that's helping them to pay for registration costs, because we know that that is a barrier to play
Yeah.
for some families. So the overall mission is to help players have access to the game through multiple platforms. And that's really why we're here for the players.
Yeah, so we we've had some in the past past couple of months. We've worked on some several projects to make things happen. You know, because of all those challenges and barriers, where do you see in youth soccer what made you say we need to do something about this?
That's a great question. Well, so growing up here in Hampton Roads and playing soccer and through the collegiate level, after graduating college, I began coaching and started learning the ins and outs of being a soccer coach and what that meant. And most of my years of coaching are volunteer years, showing up for the players, bringing my own equipment, bringing the soccer goals, the pennies, the balls, anything that the players needed. As a volunteer coach, I was looking for places to play. Where could I train these kids? We
Yeah,
would find parks, open spaces, whatever was available to us at that recreational advanced leagues. And it was a challenge. And I am a competitive coach, and I
yeah,
really wanted to provide opportunities for these players and the teams that I coached to have those field lines and the regulation size goals and opportunities to practice set plays, and that just wasn't available to us at those recreational levels. And so I just decided that with the help of our community members, let's create a foundation that bridges the gap between identifying the community need, like what does the community need to access soccer, and then how can we connect with the organizations that help to make it happen. And HRSC, the Hampton Roads Soccer Complex, was really our first partner that got us moving in that direction.
yeah. I can remember even it was almost 20 years ago where starting out as a rec advanced coach in the city of Norfolk, using uh, middle school playgrounds, right? So those are the permitted within the city. Being able to the after school, being able to have an organized soccer team. I was with the Norfolk Strikers or Norfolk United back in the day when they
Mhm.
existed, and being able just to grow up and give opportunities for to have organized play after school, and that was using sometimes fields that are not that great. It's grass and having grass fields that are affected by the weather, and then being able to use all the tools that you have already in place, whether it's balls and cones and just and nets and all those other things that were not always available or could be costly, and having good gear, decent gear that lasts long enough. So that's absolutely
Mhm.
a challenge going forward, and this organization helps with that. So
Yeah, and sorry, go
go ahead.
ahead.
No, it's for you. Go ahead.
Just to say that, like, so there are, the clubs around here do have partnerships with schools, and they do work to help the teams access spaces to train. So that is a great partnership. Um, the caveat about that though is sometimes you're sharing a field with softball, and
Yeah.
um, for the players is not here to take over spaces of other sports. We're here to find space that's unused or underused, uh, create an opportunity in that space for players to play. And there are often times where we were in the outfield of a softball practice and we just said, if we'll just keep an eye out, just you guys practice, we'll practice, and we'll just go from there. And it works. You don't need a perfect field, you don't need the perfect space. But there were very many days of coaching that I thought, gosh, I wish we just had, our own space where we weren't dodging footballs or softballs, or we
Yeah.
had an opportunity to have the 6 or the 18 box line, and so with those frustrations led to those needs, and the drive or like the persistence to want to help that is is really what we want to do, is continue that work and helping those volunteer coaches, and paid coaches, is really not to choose one or the other, because if you're a coach supporting players, then we want to support you too.
Standing. And really, it's about an access issue, and access to whether it's space or if not just gear or a game realistic environment that is important in the development of the game of soccer players. So part of those is what are some of those barriers that families face, and trying to get their children involved in the game itself, and being able to that your the foundation is being able to open those types of access, and whether it's a monetary access to be able to fees today in a pay to play system, uh, is it sometimes people are shocked by that, but that
Hmm.
in order to have a club operations, that's part of it. It's the rental fees, the lights, the turf facilities, the all these other fees that are part of the operations of the game. That also
Hmm.
creates a barrier. So it's a threshold that is it's hard to overcome. So because of that,
Hmm.
share some of those barriers that you may to take action on, that your the organization is able to do so.
Yeah. So the first barrier, I'd love to talk about the project that we worked on together, because the first barrier that the or for the players focused on was the creation of spaces, or utilizing underused spaces that could become soccer ready. And so by identifying locations within our area that have underused grass spaces and learning that they have a need there for soccer goals, lines, nets, all of the things, then we began connecting with organizations, local organizations that could help make it possible. And through the connections of having played here in Hampton Roads, my whole life, and um, just being able to connect with parents who know people who are connected to other organizations. So HRSC, the Hampton Roads Soccer Complex, donated 10 24 by 8 soccer goals, which
Yeah.
is a huge in kind support donation. And that was our first big movement, was to find places that are in Hampton Roads where we could place these used soccer goals so that players would have access to them. And that's where you come in, Jeff, even as the coach of Blair Middle School. This was our first project. It's
That
such a success.
Yeah, it was huge action. That's a multi-use grass field in the back of Blair, and my oldest, who's now graduated JMU, uh, when I was coaching for Blair back then, when he was there, didn't have any of those fields. We had to go over to Ghent and use the soccer goals at sometimes, walking across uh, walking across those streets over there, and then my son, my youngest, who was at middle school, he's a now rising sophomore. was also that we had to do the same thing. So going back, when we, being part of the foundation and saying, hey, this is a place that we could absolutely use those. And now it's also within the Ghent community as having full size goals too, and that relationship being able to open that up to, because I know a lot of other organizations, not organizations, but they pick up have to often have just pickup games there when it's off hours and so forth. So that created a now even some jealousy with my youngest was like, man, you just had these goals put in right after I left. That's crazy. So
Yeah.
it's an awesome opportunity and it's game realistic. Makes a huge
Mhm.
difference when we're in essence in middle school competition. We're not chasing balls the whole time through the in the tennis courts or across the street, and it gives both
Mhm.
the girls and boys an opportunity to be able to have more extreme realism in their games, and
Yeah.
it showed immediately. Not only we were
Mhm.
training that way, but it showed how they played. So
Yeah.
it's
And
rising in that opportunities.
the players take like real pride in their fields. And when it was just a grass field, they still did. But as soon as those soccer goals and the nets and the lines and the balls and all the coaches there, like it really was such a beautiful thing all put together. It was a true community service full of human service providers coming together to support the players. And now you can see the Blair Middle School teams, boys and girls, shooting on full size goals, and you can see how proud they are to be able to play there and call it their own field. So even though it is equipment, it's not so much about the equipment itself, but it's what's happening on the field after those tangible things are placed and delivered. It's
Yeah,
the community that has come together to make that happen. And it really was a true community effort between Blair Middle School, Norfolk Public Schools, NMA.
yeah.
Um, we had HRSC, we had ODU
We had
men's
ODU men's
club.
club soccer team as well there. Yeah, yeah,
Yep, and, we had Mercer Transportation step in and help us with the delivery of those goals, and that's such a big task in itself. So all of these different people came together to unite behind the players and to make it happen, and
yeah.
that's really what it's all about, is what happens on the field after everything is placed there.
Yeah, so that's that community involvement, and really the barrier of the cost was almost insignificant, especially when it came to transportation of those things as well. So the cost
Mhm,
there is some cost sharing, but it's not. I mean, we're talking about hundreds of dollars, not thousands, if not
mhm,
right. So it's for some long term intangibles and tangible things that's huge.
mhm,
So it's a
mhm.
very tiny investment in that. But how can other community organizations help bridge those gaps for their
That's a great
organization?
question. We are constantly working to identify like local needs in the Hampton Roads, whether that is, the space that we can help create or build into a soccer ready space. And um, we've been collecting equipment. So Soccer Zone in the Lansdowne Commons partnered with us, and families were able to drop off gently used cleats. And some families actually donated brand new cleats, and we placed a basket there, and we've been collecting cleats, over 75 pairs. And the foundation has shipped cleats. We have also purchased from our Amazon wish list cleats. We even recently sent a pair to a young male in Maryland. So even though it's not the immediate Hampton Roads, we had a parent reach out and he needed a pair of cleats. And so we responded. So
That's
really,
outstanding.
yeah, and so really, like, if there is a need, we want to know, and we would love for that need to be identified. You could email the foundation, you could give us a call. Everything's on our website as far as contact goes, but if there is a need, we want to know what it is, and we will do everything we can to work with you and the local organizations that can help to make it possible, whether it's construction companies, trucking companies, equipment companies, anyone willing to step up and help, we connect with and we tap into.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit more about your uh, future, your vision that you're continuing to march on, and what are some future initiatives that you're working on?
So, with the soccer field over at Blair Middle School, and we recently were also able to celebrate a new space behind the Allenton Elementary School, which is in Virginia Beach. Um, really, now we're going to continue to develop more places to play, but what I'd like to do and focus on with the foundation is to put in the coaches and the programs in those spaces that are really going to activate it, where kids are coming out and able to play, where they can access teammates and learn leadership skills and how to tie their shoes or how to put a penny on without a parent running over and doing it for them. All of the different problems that these kids come to with the soccer, with the challenges of soccer in itself. That's the learning experience that we're ready now to take on with turning on programs and pickup soccer and offering clinics and all of these different things that we can do on these spaces that we've helped to create.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that as part of our planning, our strategic goals. And one of those is that utilizing these spaces in conjunction with our community partners to establish a framework or program where not just for the kids, but also for volunteer coaches that want to improve their coaching ability so they can transfer those skill sets. And that's really not necessarily what the best tell you how to do it, not through a coaching license perspective, but more of lessons learned and advocacy for newer coaches or coaches that have been in the system that are willing to like learn. Because I always look back at my own self and about my own experiences, and there are things uh, today that I wish I just knew 5, 10 years ago that affect
Mhm.
kids now. So by honing those experience, by those lessons learned, creating a network, an opportunity first work with the adults that are involved in this, that what would want to volunteer their time and resources for that opportunity, and then force multiplying that within our system or spaces that we have with community partners going forward. So that's coming up
Yeah.
for everyone to understand. That's hopefully that's why we're sharing this conversation for you all, is to be able to like share what we're going forward for those opportunities. Hey, we're going to have a an adult volunteer coaches clinic to where we share best practices, and we kind of go over that same vulnerability of like, this is, I did stuff wrong here, and I just wish I knew, without having to go through a coach's pipeline and licenses and so forth, to be able to really gain some experiences through others,
Mhm.
and then sharing that with being more
Yeah.
effective in those limited time that we do share, and that becomes, you can become part of our organization to where you force multiply.
Yeah, and what you know and what you have to offer and share, there are so many people who want to learn. I mean, like, I can think of two off the top of my head right now, coaches specifically, one Virginia Beach based and one Norfolk based, both reached out and asked, "Hey, Kristen, do you know anybody that can come out of here and teach some of these kids X, Y, and Z?" And it's such a growth mindset for these individuals because they truly want what's best for their players and they know their capacity, and they find other people who can fill in those gaps, and that's the support system and that's the community stepping in. And I know, having learned a lot from you as a coach,
Thanks.
and the things that I was coaching had names to them, but I didn't have the name for it. And I knew what I was doing in a sense, but didn't have the language or the like I wasn't thinking very methodical about it. I wasn't thinking how is it in phases? How is it connecting to the bigger picture? And so learning from you, um, I find that when I want to tell someone something, I hear you in my voice, and then I share, and that's what it's all about, is learning from others and sharing that information.
Yeah, because it has to transfer. The bottom line, we're all teachers, and you have a concept that you're trying to present. And yeah, yes, you can learn through rote memorization, knowing what dates are and what who is who and what what century, but that's not going to translate in a or critical thinking or just thinking about solving problems in the
Mhm.
field to be able to translate what you're trying to teach or coach. So that's how I always
Yeah.
looked at coaching, whether I do that in my day job, it was when I was in the Navy, or with soccer kids on the field. It's the same thing, and I would just
Mhm.
always say, like, well, in my day job, they just don't have a ball at their feet, but I want them to create conditions for them to be successful.
Yeah. And as we've kind of said, the soccer is so much more than just the ball at your feet. I mean, like we laughed about mom or dad or grandma or, whoever is the parent or guardian, the child running off to the field to help the child put the penny on. And I am at fault for that too, being a, coach, a parent, or a
Yeah,
parent
same.
coach.
Yep.
And, you can even attest to this, that I am most, likely to run off and grab the ball from the pennies and pick up
Pick up the
after the
cones.
kids.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
and
They're
yeah,
cones.
and you had
Their
to remind
responsibility.
me. Yeah, like, let
Yeah.
them take on that responsibility, because we forget sometimes we create more problems by helping,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it is so easy to forget, but having someone beside you to say, "Hey, they can go grab that." I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, you're right. They can."
yeah.
And even if they don't want to, that's okay, but they still go do it, and it's a great part of
That's an
understanding,
example,
uh,
man. It's ownership.
simple.
It's responsibility. This is your
Mhm,
gear. Yeah, even
mhm,
though I purchased it, it's your gear. So if you don't take care of your stuff, our stuff as a team, what example are we setting for your teammates going forward?
mhm.
So yes, you have
Yeah,
time to joke around and stuff like that, but we want to get out of here on time, so gotta take care of it.
yeah,
So
and all of that transfers into real life
yep,
settings. I mean,
that's the whole point.
remembering your Chromebook for the morning for school, even though I have a sticky note on the garage door that says, "Mason, do you have everything?" He never looks at it, but it's a soccer can really teach you skills that transfer into your school day, into your friendships, into your time management, into all of the aspects that make us such good human beings.
Absolutely.
It's such a great game for all of those learning opportunities.
Yeah, that's I always my oldest was like always, learn of life of adversity and being able to understand failure is an option and it is expected because you have
Mhm,
to learn by that, by mistakes. And
mhm,
if you're protecting uh, your children and those for mistakes or maybe occurring, they're really not growing. And the best part of this whole game or playing the game of soccer is that it's really a safe space for that to occur. You're going to learn life
mhm,
adversity, life challenges, skills on the field, and that's how I look at. Yeah, there's a small percentage that of those players will that we are responsible for that will play at the next level, play at the collegiate level, and so forth.
mhm,
Uh, but the bulk of it, the majority of it all, is life skills of being good
mhm.
citizens and showing them
Yeah,
what leadership should look like and
mhm,
accountability and responsibility to your friends that you're playing with, but you're also their teammates. And
yeah,
it's not saying that you have to like each other and be the best of friends if you make certain teams like that. But at the end of the day,
mhm,
you cross that touch line. You're a team, and you have to
mhm,
battle as a team, and you are as strongest as your weakest link. So yeah,
mhm. And I love that, and I know there's such an emphasis, and, as a coach, I really wanted to win games, and I thought a lot about winning games, and it was an important part of coaching for me, um, but, more
It's the
recently.
American culture of the game of soccer.
and like within, like, I would say about 2 years ago, really when you and I met and I was introduced to the coaches that and the people within the system, just started thinking about things a little bit differently because I had an opportunity to learn from other coaches, and there's so much learning in losing that, I almost had to force myself to make sure that they were playing with the principles that we had coached and learned, even though if it resulted in a game loss
Yeah,
on the scoreboard, it wasn't a loss for the players. And so changing that mentality of, we're here to learn, and that might mean win and that might mean lose, but you're going to learn. And that's such an important part of the game that I hope that we can also support through our foundation is, let's learn, let's focus on our development as a individual, as a team, and then let's worry about the scoreboard. But first, let's focus on what we can control,
yeah,
within ourselves.
yeah. It's a the more and more higher levels you go, and the higher levels you play, it becomes just a margin of errors. So you're playing within the
Hmm.
margins, and this is I. I'm looking if I often now at this point, yes, early, much early time, it was a score line, and then measuring others by score lines, which is at this point it's like ridiculous because you understand it more, right? So
Right.
by understanding that there are lots of wins in a game, not
Hmm.
just a score line. That's what matters. And if you're focusing on, especially as a Q parent, and I've had conversations that I like to have on this platform with other uh, parents that have entered the soccer marketplace and travel soccer and so forth. But being able to have that understanding of that uh, development is important, it's paramount, but also uh, 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 lots and understanding what successes are in your game moments going forward, rather than and
Hmm.
cheering for those and being
Yeah.
being actively seeing it and then saying, "Wow, that was beautiful." That link connection, that build out, that finding the teammate, that community, all those things that are super supposed to be basic in the game that we should be coaching, but to see those things, and then maybe at the end there is a goal that happens. I can't control what
Hmm.
they do in the final third. I can get them there. I can give them ways to get
Hmm.
there. But at the end of the day, it's how do they get be creative and then be solve the problems themselves. And that's why I'm very
Yeah.
adamant about like this our classroom. We're going to take care of our classroom. I don't need, and you shouldn't want to be hovering over your child as they're learning to solve problems. And that's
Yeah.
I get a lot of kickback from that. So
Yeah. Well, and I think like if even as the foundation and the partners that we work with, that also includes the parents. And so if we're able to support both sides of the touch line, the coaching
yeah,
side, the parent side, I think that's both a win because I'm a coach and a parent, and just across both sides of the field, the perspective changes so significantly.
yeah,
As a
yeah.
parent, I just want to see my son learn something. I just want the car ride home not to be awful,
Right, right. Yeah, yeah,
something to think about. And I'm not focused on a parent for me as winning the game. Did the team win the game? Because I want to see my son learn, do well, and learn how to play with his teammates. And on the other side of the pitch, on the touchline with the coaches, it's such a different perspective because you have the responsibility or that feeling of, games and practices and accommodating parents and accommodating players and time on the field. And there's so many things that you think about, and it's all to try to make everyone have wins. And it's a challenge. So if we can help parents to understand that there are so wins in the losses that we take, then I think that that would be a huge part of the foundation because I know that is, something within our soccer system, that we have to fix.
yeah. So these personal stories that we're sharing with you all is what makes this foundation matters. So, Kristen, can you tell me a a story that really captures why this foundation matters to you as you were starting this in the past 2 years.
When I sit down to get to work, whether it's, the field access, the program planning, the connecting with various community organizations, the what keeps me thinking about these plans and putting things into place is the feeling that I have when I walk onto the field and get to share it with the kids. We were able to support the field day at the Allen Elementary School, and the kids were had such a good time kicking the soccer balls into the goals, and those sorts of moments when you're on the field and with the players is what it's all about, and that's what keeps you pushing forward to help other kids and other people in our community.
Yeah, that's the those moments, those gives you the feeling of that's it's purposeful. Those are the things that make it worthwhile because you do a lot of significant cold calls and connections, and being able
Mhm,
to establish those resources within the community, but also within like larger organizations. You
mhm,
provided your pitch speech to local organizations for donations, and being giving telling your story to give that. So
mhm,
it is a significant lift that you've been providing for this organization, and we want everyone to understand that that was no just idea that was just picked up and you just ran with it.
mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah,
good.
and I think a lot of there's so many different opportunities in our Hampton Roads area to access the sport. But a lot of the opportunities come at a cost. And we understand things cost money. They just do. Time is money. It costs to repair fields. It costs to purchase equipment, and that those costs are being supported through donations, through people who are reaching out to sponsor players for registration costs, and that's how we are able to continue growing is through the community sport support. And I am in a position where I am able to give my time to the community, and I feel responsible in a way of is it what is it Spider-Man? He says with great power comes great
Great
responsibility, or
responsibility. Yeah, that's it. So yeah,
I wouldn't know the actual power, but I know that I can
and the
help
great
bring
responsibility
about
part. Yeah,
change
yeah,
if we can all come together. And it is just we are just bridging the need and the organizations that help make it happen. We are not doing any of this alone. We are just the connector, and it feels really wonderful to have all of the community servants out there together and all of the names cheered and everyone celebrated, because it truly does feel like a community coming together when you're out on the pitch with, five different organizations, 20 different parents from all over and kids from all over. It truly is everyone coming together for these soccer players to have access to the game. And that's what just keeps us going and moving forward, wanting to do more of that.
yeah. That's great. And what makes Hampton Roads such a unique soccer community?
Well, the population we have here is, I think, roughly like 2 million people here in Hampton Roads. That's somewhat accurate. And there are so many different sports. If you want to be a ballerina, I completely encourage that. If you want to play football, if you want to play lacrosse, I think that you should do what drives you and what makes you happy. And if soccer is what drives you and makes you happy, and you have a need or your community has a need, and you just wish that you had a space to train, or your kids had cleats to wear, or you had a couple extra soccer balls for your practices, we want to help you. And by reaching out to the foundation and letting us know those needs, we can work with you um, to make it possible. And that is the goal: is to help as many coaches and players that we can to improve the game for everyone.
Yeah, and that's a key point. It's for the players. Those soccer is a major component of it, but all these other sports are part of that as well. So that's a good point that you raised because yes, we're talking about soccer 'cause it's in our face every day. That's what we're doing, but it is open to all types of sports and being able to resource for that too. So,
Mm-hmm.
in your future outlook, your leadership, your vision as a CEO, what does success look like in 5 years from now?
Ooh, good question. Success. I don't, let's see. Success for 5 years would be able to provide um, consistent soccer programs where kids show up and they can play, whether that's with a 24/8 soccer goal, whether that's, a couple pug goals, whether that's with, licensed coaches or volunteer coaches. In 5 years, if we have more kids playing soccer, um, than with coaches who are learning how to help their players, then I would say that's a success.
It's outstanding, and that's really that addresses the access problem, right? So, if resources were unlimited and we had the ability to fund everything, it doesn't happen right away. So we have to generate that momentum going forward, so that way we can resource for that. Just like any other organization, the organization doesn't continue to move and expand and grow without the people involved in that organization. So we have to be able to build that, and that's why we're putting this out there for everyone to understand what we're trying to do. So when it comes time to help and volunteer and be part of that, this is a space that's going to be it's one of those like, things that even when I created a nonprofit for my Navy Mid Atlantic FC for veterans in the Hampton Roads community, it was a space the build it, they will come, field of dreams, right? So
Yeah.
uh, that's what we're trying to do here, and ensuring that we put that our message out, we share it with you all, and being able
Mhm.
to continue to provide that access going forward.
Yeah, and I think it's really important that especially the volunteer coaches, because the clubs, they require volunteer coaches, and a lot of these coaches are like myself, um, coaching your own child and at the same time that your child's team. So you have that car ride with your child after school,
Yeah,
and you have those practices. So you're sort of getting that time with your kid and time to coach, and you get both loves squeezed into that hour and a half. And
yeah,
if we can show the volunteer coaches of our communities that you are needed and you are important, and we recognize what you're doing, and we're here to help, then I think that love for our volunteer coaches will just expand and spread, and just help more people to step in and step up, because volunteering takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of money, and it's volunteer. So I think it's important to show that these coaches are supported so that we continue to have um, you
yeah.
know, coaches who
It's the
are
it's the adults
kind and
involved in
caring.
it. Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, because if you ask a group of people, what is the most important characteristic in a coach for you? Most times, and I've done this in a couple different presentations, but there might be one person in the crowd that says a highly trained, class A coach. Most people in the room respond with, "Gosh, I hope my child's coach is kind. I hope she's patient, or I hope she really understands that he has two left feet, and she'll, you know, help him out with his right foot." So it's really about the character of the coach, not so much the skill that they know about the sport, but
yep,
they want kind, caring people around their children, and we have to like nourish that group of people and encourage people like that to continue supporting our grassroots players.
Yeah, I relate to your coaching piece. I would always tell my kids because I got out of coaching my kids a long time ago until last year when my son made my team. So I was like, oh gosh, this you mentioned about rides home. I remember uh, that it was became almost because I was a coach and a parent. While I was all in, I was deployed a lot of combat tours. So when I was home, I was all in, almost to the point where I was probably too much. So I learned from that being able to like knowing when to turn off and when to let things just not be like, why'd you do it this way? You run the ride home, or that was something I had to learn through, and to the
Mhm.
point where I tell my boys that you, I want you to learn from the bad ones as well as the good ones, because
Mhm.
that is life. You have to be able to advocate for yourself. We can't do it for you. You have to learn
Mhm.
your communication skills to be able to go up to someone and advocate. Because if you don't ask, just like in everything in life, you say, if you don't ask, you'll never know. If you don't play the lotto, you'll never win. That's kind of the
Yeah.
attitude,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
it was a lot about that
Mhm.
growing up. So that's where we are as an organization to be able to help you along with that. Um, what? So going forward, what partnerships are you most excited about?
So let's see the part. So I actually, if it's okay, would love to address something that the foundation, a partnership request that we're looking for, if that would be okay.
Yeah.
So with the donation of the soccer goals from HRSC, four of these soccer goals need some welding repair, some additional work to ensure that they're safe and can be placed at local schools. It could, Chesapeake, Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Portsmouth, Suffolk. We're not tied to a specific school system. We are looking for people to reach out and say, this school really could use a soccer goal, and tell us why and who would use it and how often. But with these four that need repair work, we're really looking for two things: a company that specializes in welding, because when I look at them, I just don't know what what they need.
Yeah.
But so we really need a specialist in welding, and then also a company to support the transportation of the goals to the sites where we can place these goals. So that would be a really big partnership. And support for one of our next projects is repairing these four goals and getting them placed out in the communities for kids to use and have access to. And um, just to make sure that in case people didn't know, when we place these soccer goals at the school site or at a park, the goals follow the system that's in place for that site. So the access at Blair Middle School might look a little bit different than the access at Allenton Elementary School, but the goal is to provide equipment um, at free cost to that location so that players can get out there and get playing. So if there was someone, an individual or a company or someone who could refer us to a company that could help us with that welding and transportation, that would be huge. We would love that.
Yeah, if you're listening today and want to help, what can you do? These are exactly what we're looking for. And Kristen, can you share any other ways that people that want to volunteer and help along, from either through businesses or community organizations, what they can absolutely help you with as well, other than the fixing goals and transportation and so forth.
Mm. So we're gonna start the some pickup soccer here soon at these sites, and a new site that we're working on that we will announce very soon. But what we're looking for is um, volunteers who would like to help us run pickup soccer. And this is going to be free of charge to the public,
Local
and we're going
community,
to
yeah,
bring.
yeah.
Yep. So even if it's hosted at Allenton or any of these other schools or locations that we're placing goals, you don't have to attend that school to come join. in on the game. Um, Anyone that can get themselves there to the location where pickup is taking place, we want you to come, no matter where you're coming from. But we will need volunteers to help us run those pickups, so that we have a good student ratio to adult to ensure safety. So all of those things need to be in place. So we're looking for volunteers to help us run pickup sessions for the kids in the community.
Yeah. Yeah. And in closing, uh, what message would you give to a young soccer player or just interested in the game that may not think that it's possible for them? Families might think it's the cost barriers too high. If they want to you go from recreational, advanced, travel light, or full travel programs, and going forward, uh, what what message would you give them?
The message that we would like to send is we are here for you. If you have a need, we want to help you. We want to support you. So please reach out through email. If you are someone under the age of 18 listening to this, we do need a parent or guardian to reach out to us through the email.
Yeah.
We can't have 10-year-olds reaching out for brand new cleats.
Yeah.
But so please make sure you have someone that cares for you reach out and let us know what you need, because we will do everything we can to make it happen. So know that you are supported, and there are many people and many organizations out there that want to support you, and we will find them and we will connect you.
It's outstanding. So when people hear for the Players Foundation, what do you hope they remember?
That everything that we do, I always will ask myself if it's something that I'm deciding, or our group, or our board, or our coaches. We ask ourselves, is this for the players? If the answer is yes, we move forward. If the answer is no, then we reevaluate, reassess, and plan differently. Everything that we do has to be for the players, because that is why we're here. So that's really an important message for anyone listening. We're here for the players, whether that's through the coaching pathway, whether that's through the player equipment pathway. We want to support you in the game and having access to it.
That's great. That's a great statement. I want to thank Dr. Christin Golich for talking with us today and sharing this to the public. We're going to ensure that you have all the contacts and links in our description section of our YouTube. But from a takeaway from this, I want you to think that for everyone paying attention and watching, 20 years from now, when you're a young adult in Hampton Roads and looks back and says, soccer changed my life, or whatever sports you may be involved in, what role do you hope for the Players Foundation played in your story? And that's what we want to be able for you to understand coming from today's talk. So again, thank you, Kristen. I appreciate your time. I look forward to talking with you some more and sharing some of this to the public. And stay tuned, everyone, because there's a lot more things and more action happening in Hampton Roads community.